DreamWorks is all like, do you want the moon? You want me to throw a lasso around and pull it down? Well, too bad. Here's 35 seconds of a creepy kid fishing on our logo instead.
What exactly is creepy about this kid? Also, I would say that you're just complaining about logos for the billionth time because you don't know how else to open a video. However, you skipped the logo in the first Madagascar videos. So since you don't have anything new to say here, why do you skip this one? I mean, you used to have millions of views for every single video, and now this video, which came out 2 years ago, doesn't even have 500,000 views yet. I think this routine is exactly why you fell off.
Narrowing your location down to just under 12 million square miles.
I think you're just mad you couldn't do your in case you confused it with X running joke.
Just kidding! We're never coming back!
Empty promises.
Initiate warp drive!
Going to warp and lower atmosphere.
Speaking of the first Madagascar video, we're back to criticizing unrealistic things in a freaking dream sequence, which is what this scene is. What did I say then? I don't remember. Something about mentioning Inception? Whatever, just watch that to see why this is stupid.
This confusing board is driving me insane. First, it's clearly divided into 16 different rectangular sections, but for what purpose? If it were 12 sections, I might assume they represented the past doing this much work, but only creating 2 of the 21 bridges that lead into Manhattan.
Maybe they just ran out of resources, or maybe they figured this was good enough. I'm gonna go with the latter, considering Alex still appreciates the effort.
Here's Times Square, with its modern-day corporate lack of character.
Thinking any lion from New York is excited about Midtown Manhattan.
I'm more so wondering how on earth does Alex know about Times Square? Didn't he and his friends spend their entire lives in a zoo before they left? I doubt there's any point where they left while they were there.
This nostalgia flashback will be used to try and convince me this is a story about personal growth and not one about the poor financial decision to buy a circus.
Do you think that those two things are mutually exclusive? Why can't the story be about both? They buy a circus and then towards the end have some personal growth where they realize returning to the zoo would just be wrong and instead decide to stay with the circus so they can explore the world. This stuff isn't that complicated, bro.
Here we are relying on the penguins to come back for us. We should just go to Monte Carlo and get them.
If you're going to tell me these talking animals can just go to Monte Carlo, then I'm going to need you to explain why they don't just go to New York.
So I did a little digging, and it's theorized that they are right now around Kenya or Tanzania, Africa. Now, if you look at Google Maps, going to Monte Carlo from there isn't difficult. They either walked all the way there and then swam the rest of the way, or they started here and swam all the way there. Either way, these swim distances aren't very long compared to swimming in New York City, where you would have to swim across the entire North Atlantic Ocean. And I'm just saying, despite the cartoon physics in this world, judging by the fact that they don't even consider doing that, makes me assume that they're not able to swim that far. I mean, heck, there was a moment in the first movie when Alex attempted to swim to New York from Madagascar, and he and Gloria acknowledged that would have been impossible.
How do a lion, a zebra, a giraffe, and a hippo walk into a casino in Monte Carlo?
You could just wait for the penguins outside and end this in an efficient 15 minutes, but you won't.
First of all, they think that the penguins abandoned them, so why would they do that? And second of all, there's no way the movie would have ended that quickly. The plane still would have broken, and they still wouldn't have been able to get back to New York.
You pillow fight like a bunch of little girls!
Spoken like someone who has never taken a limited edition Pinkie Pie firm deco pillow to the crotch before.
These pillows are filled with baby birds!
Listen, if someone hit me with a bag of skin, I wouldn't say it was filled with baby humans.
I don't care. Sending this joke.
Oh, I get it now. They traveled by title card cut.
So are you saying you want to see the entire 5,000-mile trip? Because that's how far they had to travel. I don't think anyone wants to see that.
All right, we take these ventilation ducts to the crawl space above the casino where we find the penguins.
Alex, you've blown your cover by having way too much knowledge about the inside of this structure. Now, who sent you to steal the knock list?
Arbitrary Mission Impossible reference.
We just need to figure out which duct each of us should take.
You shouldn't need more than one duct, and there shouldn't be multiple ducts going to the same place, but if all that bullshit is going to be true, then why not color code them, I guess?
Rule of cool. That's kind of what this is what I was trying to explain to you in the past 2 videos. These films aren't supposed to be completely logical.
Then we'll pick up the hippies and fly back to New York in style.
So Skipper was going to go back to pick up Alex and friends, and nothing that happens in this movie had to happen? Cool.
So what? These are flawed characters making the best decisions they can come up with based on the limited information they had. That's what makes stories interesting. Watching characters not be perfect. You're essentially saying it's a sin for Alex to get impatient, which is a normal thing to do considering how long the penguins have been away.
We'll be rich. The rules of physics don't apply to us.
Thing animated film producers say to justify more and more outlandish sequels somehow makes it into the script.
And that's a sin because...
These are things a leader has to think of. Why should you be a leader? Why not me?
Sudden and random and power struggle is sudden and random.
Jeremy thinks friends arguing over certain things is random.
The glass is not strong enough to hold up Gloria, even though it survived all of Alex and Marty's bullshit earlier.
Did Alex and Marty even hit the glass that hard? And Gloria being fat and heavy is a running joke throughout this trilogy, so this is an example of that. Or if one wanted to, it could be argued that the glass has been made weaker by their arrivals earlier.
Synchronized delayed panic.
Jeremy points things out on a screen cliche.
This animal control officer has decapitated taxidermied heads of adorable cats and dogs on her wall, which fine, you do you in your personal time, but this is a children's film, madam.
I was trying to avoid the children's film, family film distinction for these movies, but I guess I'm gonna have to bring that up again. Judging by the fact that I'm an adult and still enjoy these films, and adults are included in families, that means that this isn't a children's film. And I think dark moments like this prove that. And what's wrong with freaking out kids anyway? Since DuBois is the main villain, don't you want kids to root against her? Isn't this an easy way to do that?
Also, no sins will be allowed for the franchise's best villain. That would be moi.
When I was 7, I strangled my first parrot.
Kids.
Saying kids cliche.
Now, I have finally reached the moment I have been preparing for my entire life. To hunt the king of the beasts!
So you join animal control in Monte Carlo with the hopes that one day there would be a lion just loose in the city?
Sure, why not?
What just happened?
Where are we? What is this?
Reading your audience's mind.
Hey Jeremy, I think you misread your script. The line is, reading CinemaSins' mind.
This is the perfect movie for all the parents out there who struggle to teach their kids that fun can be measured by how much chaos and property damage you can cause.
So, the minority? Who cares about the minority?
This movie is now insinuating that this character has some sort of synesthetic, olfactory CSI powers that can not only distinguish the smells of the animals, but also the relative body position of all their parts and its relation to the passage of time, and I do not believe you, movie.
Ah, what did I say in the first Madagascar video? You're just sitting a cartoon for being a cartoon. I bet you'll hate Captain DuBois in the third movie. I knew it, and that's definitely not because I'd already seen this video through Luke's video before. I knew it was coming beforehand. Oh wait, I didn't say that!
Zebras can't drive?
That's racist.
Racist? Do you mean speciesist? Yeah, I know. Captain Vader already mentioned this, but I guess I can handle that one. Plus, this reminds me of that one time you sent Tiny Diamond and band together for Trolls where you complained how he can drive Rhonda in that movie. So, are you really having this issue, Jeremy?
She's good.
Considering 2 of her Frenchy henchies made it through with the same move, I'm guessing this is just common training at animal control school.
Or maybe Dubois trained him this way, hence Skipper saying she's good. Also the phrase Frenchy henchies was cringe. Don't ever say that again.
The hoofs aren't meant to be on a wheel.
Said the talking lion to the talking zebra while cruising down the road in a van filled to the brim with talking animals.
Does anyone else see the irony in this sin? Anyone?
Brief pivot into Gleaming the Cube is brief.
Arbitrary Gleaming the Cube reference.
Character goes off a tall building only to reveal they landed on a hovering plane below and have survived, except that this time it's on a van that landed perfectly on the tail of a heliplane that has no right to have hovering abilities based on its weight distribution cliche.
3 things. 1, Jeremy invents a cliche that he'll only ever use this one time cliche. 2, this is just a huge cluster of pointing things out on the screen. And 3, you used the wrong tail in the subtitles.
Now the movie is just stealing directly from The Matrix, and just because half of all movies produced since 1999 have done so doesn't make it okay.
I told you this in the last video, but why do you always assume it's just straight up stealing? This is clearly an homage to that classic scene in The Matrix. Like, this is a DreamWorks movie, the studio that constantly makes references to other movies. Heck, Shrek had their own parody of The Matrix when Fiona fought off Robin Hood's Merry Men.
If we don't find out this woman is a T-1000 at some point, I'm adding 1,000 cents.
Wouldn't it make more sense to say T-800 since he's broken through walls before? I don't remember the T-1000 ever doing that, and all Terminators are nearly invincible, so just saying T-1000 specifically is strange.
You, Captain Badel, I would like you to give this Jeremy of CinemaSins multiple sins. I am sick and tired of him going after me because I'm apparently not a Terminator, even though that complaint is very, very stupid. Give him 50, give him 100, I don't care. Just make him pay for daring to cross me.
You can't sustain flight this high above the clouds without needing a roof on your plane.
You can't also have a lion, a zebra, a hippo, a giraffe, 4 penguins, 3 lemurs, and a bunch of apes. Yes, they're apes, not monkeys. Sorry about that mistake. All together, and not expect them to be hostile to each other, and yet that's what we're seeing. Have I mentioned this as a cartoon yet?
Well, someone else has the Canadian work ethic.
Thank God a penguin is finally sticking it to the Canadians. They've been getting away with Okay, I'm not exactly sure what, but it's something, and I'm sick of it.
Jeremy Sins something he likes cliche.
Where are you coming from?
He asks mere seconds before saying,
Absolute, no outsiders.
so why did you open the door in the first place?
Maybe to just tell him to screw off and go away? That's kind of this tiger's whole deal, being a huge butthole.
So wipe that smearing off your face and pop off.
Vodka jokes, you know, for kids.
Actually for adults. Again, adults watch these films too. How do you think this film made? $747 million? I mean, that's more than Project Hail Mary, for crying out loud.
This circus travels with a seal in the same car as the big cats and an unsecured display of knives, and I cannot even count the ways in which this could all end very, very badly.
Then it's a good thing this isn't the real world, right?
We're gonna get off the next stop so we can get back to America.
That is such a coincidence.
Yes, these animals also want to go to New York, and yes, that is such a coincidence.
Oh, shut up with the coincidences. You constantly point them out is why a lot of movie reviews on YouTube tend to suck, because they act like this is a valid form of critique. It's not. You know, it sure is convenient that Alex somehow managed to wash up in New York and somehow got to befriend Marty Gloria Melman, huh? It sure is convenient that the penguins just happened to dig into Marty's exhibit, otherwise it wouldn't have inspired Marty to leave the zoo, and this whole story wouldn't have happened. You see why this is dumb?
I am sure this circus will bring you great success.
Buying a circus but not getting the clowns.
Maybe they specifically wrote in a contract that they don't need the clowns?
I'll never be president.
Well, duh, the penguin lifespan maxes out at 30.
Dadgummit, that joke got me.
Lion. 12 hours old. 250 kilograms?
You've already seen this lion and have advanced knowledge of when they were here, you puddle-tonguing charlatan.
She's trying to figure out where he went next. How can you not figure that out? Also, Jeremy yells at the screen cliche.
As a you to Ridley Scott, they decide to set up shop inside the Coliseum and still leave everyone not entertained.
That's not what the critics and audiences think. Also, arbitrary gladiator reference.
Circus, Afro.
This is the best part of the movie. Perhaps you misunderstood. This is the best part of the movie.
And it still counts as Jeremy Sins something he likes cliche.
And if you do anything that threatens the circus, you will have to answer to me.
Movie apparently went to the Strong Woman Falls for Clumsy Man school of Kevin Jamesing things.
Thinking this isn't how romance works in America.
They're demanding their money back.
I think we all know the right thing to do.
After putting on the second worst circus I've ever seen, the animals abscond without all their tents and stuff, and somehow that will not be a problem later in the movie.
Jeremy really underestimates the penguins of Madagascar's abilities to just grab new tents and stuff.
What do they know about the old escape a hole? Behind the innocent, a looking poster.
Movie runs through a bunch of prison escape cliches, and I take at least partial responsibility for this.
But this movie came out in June 2012, 6 months before your channel even started, so this joke doesn't work the way you thought it would.
I used it to buy teeth and then have them Captain Gold. Now I can eat apples.
And the director said, let's have the minions, the penguins try and bite some apples so the audience will finally know it's the ridiculous sidekicks in animated films that are the true assholes.
I already told you why the penguins aren't comparable to Scrat in the last video, but did you just compare them to the freaking minions?
What? It had never been done before because it was physically impossible.
Putting this sentence in your movie just because you want to see my eye twitch.
Hey, the movie jabbing at you deserves a sin off.
He was our inspiration.
So when he lost his passion, well, as the tale goes, so goes the circus.
Your star player loses his mojo, and instead of picking him up when he's down, the rest of you just decide to stop trying as well. From the bottom of my heart, go f yourself, Stefano.
Wait, you have a heart? Okay, but in all seriousness, how do you know that they didn't try to pick him up when he's down? This was a long time ago. You don't think they tried that whole time? And yeah, them not being as passionate anymore makes sense to me. Vitaly helped them keep their passion while doing the circus, but now that he's gone, it's hard for them to keep putting in the effort.
We will come up with something fresh, something amazing, something brand new.
Said no DreamWorks animated sequel ever.
Mother lover, did you not watch Puss in Boots 2? I mean, you said in that movie.
Something that'll blow that circus promoter.
Oops, video got stuck.
Well, that was the most forced dirty joke I've seen in a while.
Francis McDormand is now doing a Edith Piaf imitation that will give these men super strength to heal and bust out of their protective cast so that they can ride together to satisfy her lion murder boner at a circus in London. How did this movie not win all the awards?
I don't know. And in all honesty, I can't tell if you're seriously praising the scene or if you're just being sarcastic. But what I do know is that you said boner.
Stopping your train long enough to build an entire circus practice facility, as if no other trains need that track anymore.
Did you not see how much property damage the penguins did in that car chase? I honestly don't think these animals care. Also, Gen Xer channels his inner boomer by yelling at the screen.
I'm on a tightrope! I'm on a tightrope!
accidentally ending up on a tightrope. This is about as likely as when my college girl Alex has never been on the trapeze before, but it all works out because the power of boners compels him.
Well, yeah, it's cartoon physics, and it's a comedy, which is what you think you're doing when you say boner.
Remember, kids, recklessness equals fun.
You know, you're pretty reckless putting out these low-quality videos with poor critiques, so I don't think you're one to talk.
All right, everybody, let's blow that promoter.
Damn it, video got stuck again.
Dude, this joke wasn't funny the first time. Move on.
That's not a red-blooded American promoter. I don't know what is.
I'd give all the sins back if the movie decided stereotypes were bad and that this penguin actually didn't know what is.
No, you wouldn't. Stop encouraging lies.
You're leaving? You're just gonna walk out on everybody?
Duh, Alex. It's called a third act conflict. Did you think this movie was gonna do something original? This movie has had nothing but, what are those called again?
Cliches.
Ah, yes, that's it. Thanks.
You're getting ahead of yourself there, bud. We're not in the third act yet. That happens when Alex and Co. get to New York City. We are currently in the final set piece at the end of the second act. And I am so sick of you calling something unoriginal because A, you're super unoriginal with how often you reuse running gags, and B, just because a story is unoriginal doesn't make it bad. Avatar gets called unoriginal all the time, but that doesn't stop people from going to see it every time it gets re-released. The question you should be asking is the film good?
And now this badass animal control officer who has been nigh invincible this entire movie will be felled by a few penguins who easily put her into a dynamite cannon, proving most definitely that she is not a T-1000.
Okay, so?
We trusted you.
Wait, are there multiple third act
Oh, you don't have to tell me that you're not paying attention. I know.
Now I'm getting the silent treatment, am I? Come over here right now. Don't shut me out, baby!
Does this movie really expect us to start caring about the lemur that wants to f the bear when it hasn't even drawn us a single diagram of how that would be possible?
Jeremy continues to think that romance and sex are tied to each other.
If I just stayed put, we wouldn't have anything to be sad about right now.
Oh, I can find you something. Maybe that your nostrils are completely closed off by that off-putting spiral pattern, so you have no way to breathe through them?
You forgot to put an E at the end of breathe here. Also, we're back to sending stylistic designs, even though Jeremy clearly understood that in the first video.
They're not even circus. That's Bolshevik.
It is not. And buckle up, because here's why. You see, the Bolsheviks were a faction of the Russian socialist movement that ultimately...
CinemaSins cut Jeremy off there, but I don't care. Sending this line.
I don't care if they're endangered. I am not paying $1 million for a lion.
You realize this specific lion is freaking Alex, who's an actual celebrity, which has been made very clear throughout all these movies?
Circus Deus Ex Machina.
That's not what Deus Ex Machina means, you stupid little...
These cobras in the pool are the first sign that Alex is about to have to pull off the bullshit stunt involving wires, jetpacks, and balloons that he made up earlier. And not even the super smart penguins will question whether or not they are in a simulation.
It's not. It's a comedy. The filmmakers thought it would be funny if Alex and his friends made up that whole story, and then it actually happens here at the end. I get criticized for taking CinemaSins too seriously, but Jeremy is taking this movie too seriously.
Where was the saw? It's not even the right kind of saw for cutting off heads. Or so I've heard.
The answer is Hammer Space. Also, hello? FBI? Yeah, we found him.
Burying her alive is the kind of dark ending that didn't really happen, but if I turn the movie off right now, at least I can pretend it did.
So you're ending the video by saying the movie didn't do something that I wanted it to do. Do you realize how selfish and entitled that sounds? If Hollywood listened to people like you more often, every movie would be The Rise of Skywalker, and I don't think anyone wants that.
Is she dead?
No.